Well, let's crack on, shall we? The average person in Great Britain laughs out loud 10 times a day. Not everyone, obviously. If you work in a hospice or with learning disabled adults, it could be 10 times that. Yeah, that's my laugh. Someone said my laugh was weird. My laugh isn't weird, it's wrong. Because you're meant to laugh on an out-breath, aren't you? You're meant to laugh on a ha-ha, ha-ha-ha-ha. I laugh on an in-breath, so it's ha-ha-ha-ha. Someone asked me the other day, is it fake? Why would you fake that? Sounds like a goose being interfered with. I don't know why I laugh like that. It's one of life's mysteries.
This next video is, it's a lot. It's a lot. It contains quite strong stuff. Comedy is very much like one's sexual preferences. Some people like very gentle, some people like the rough stuff, and as long as it's consenting, I'm fine. This comedy-wise this is the rough stuff. This is the BDSM. So if that's not for you, if you don't even get those references, don't watch this video.
A lot of people text whilst driving. I'm not excusing it, but we've all done things we regret when we're drunk. I had a girl come up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago. At the stage door, she waited for me. She looked me boldly in the eyes and said, "I'm not wearing any panties." I thought, all right, forgetful. I haven't washed me cock. What a pair. I was walking between the stage door and the car, this about 6 months ago, and there was a girl, as I was walking, I saw her, between two cars, pissing. I double took. On the second take, I made eye contact, which is awkward. And she said, mid-flow, "Can I have an autograph?" I thought, if you've got any paper, you need it. And then do you know what I did? I waited. Enjoy the show? Yeah? A bit of a shake? Nice. Oh. I shall tell you a story about something else that happened, because I'm a little bit on telly now, and people phone up and they ask you to do interesting things. I was asked about 3 years ago to write a journalistic piece for the first time. I was really excited. A Sunday paper phoned up, they said, "Would you like to write a piece for us?" I immediately agreed, and as a conversation went on, it transpired it was a piece for the motoring section called My First Crash. I think I would have said no, but I'd already said yes earlier in the conversation, so, what do you do? I said, yeah, okay, fine. And in the end, I was quite pleased with what I wrote. I wrote about 250 words on my first crash. I said, what happened was I went on a driving holiday, flew into Barcelona, rented a car, went around Spain, Portugal, France, just staying in sort of 3-star hotels and B&Bs and just kind of hanging around, yeah? And the idea was we would end up driving back to Paris, get the Eurostar back. Go first class, be quite exciting. It only just opened, so it was quite an exciting thing. We slightly mistimed it, so we're kind of late getting back into Paris. This is the days before, sat-nav. So we've got maps out, we're trying to work out how Paris is, it's a complicated city to get round. It's late at night. We got cut up by loads of guys on scooters, just in an underpass. We just clipped a Merc. I was in Edinburgh last year. I saw a sign in a window, said, "Watch batteries fitted." I thought it was probably not the best show on. There's a sign up in my street saying the priorities of the traffic lights have changed. There's another sign saying, children, please drive carefully. I was driving on the motorway, I saw a sign on the back of a truck, a little sticker, said, how am I driving? I thought, well, if you don't know... I've got a sticker on the back of my car, it says, keep your distance. I just need a little space right now. It's not you, it's me. The fog sign on the motorway. How pointless is that? Who's it for? People driving along thinking, I can't see a fucking thing. I wonder if I got cataracts. Oh no, wait, look, it's fog, what am I like? Do you all do the same thing as me? When you drive normally, you drive like that, yeah? That's the normal driving position. A little bit of fog, you drive like that. You get a little bit closer. You get a better view, just in case the fog is in the car. Have you ever done this? Have you ever been driving along and you've hit a rabbit? The worst thing is the noise. That horrible, familiar sound of a hammer hitting a rabbit. 97% of all dangerous driving offences are committed by men. You know what that means? It means 3% are committed by bloody women drivers. You know who you are, you're a fucking menace. I don't think speed cameras are fair. Who's with me? I can't see how they're fair. If I'm driving home from this gig at 12 midnight, yeah, and there's kids playing in the street, they've got bigger problems than me. Well, not anymore, they haven't, but let's say I'm driving home from this gig, 12 midnight, let's say I'm doing 40 in a 30 zone, I get flashed by one of those cameras. How is it fair that my girlfriend gets 3 points on her licence? That doesn't seem fair to me. She's already got 12 points. She's going to have to go to jail. Have you all seen that incredibly powerful commercial on television where the child morphs back to life, having been run over? Yeah. Incidentally, that's why you're not allowed to leave the scene of an accident. You missed the best bit. That advert clearly states if you're doing 40 miles an hour and you hit a child, there's an 80% chance that child will die. If you're doing 30 miles an hour, there's an 80% chance that child will live. Here's my question. Where's the ad for swerving? That advert's basically the government going, hey, watch out, there's a kid in the road. Slow down, take the edge off. But it must learn its lesson. How old did you say you were, sir?
14.
You're 14 years old. Right, and what's your name?
Sam.
Sam, right. Let's say I'm driving at you, Sam.
Okay.
At, I don't know, 40 miles an hour. And you run away at 10 miles an hour. It's an aggregate of 30, isn't it? Not only have you given yourself a chance of survival, you've also learnt a little something about maths.
Yeah, we got into a row. You'll be familiar with this. If you're in a long-term relationship, this is the kind of scenario for a row that I think happens a lot. We got into a fight on the way back from a party. So we went to this amazing party. It's about 2:30 in the morning. We're driving home. So I'm driving. I haven't had anything to drink, stone cold sober, driving. She's had quite a lot to drink. I mean, in terms of units of alcohol, she's had an awful lot to drink. But she's not drunk. And I know she's not drunk. I know she isn't drunk because she told me she wasn't drunk 400 fucking times. You know, like sober people don't. Anyway, the worst thing about this argument, I didn't even say anything. Someone else said something, and she was talking about that, and I just agreed with the fact that the other person said. And it was a fact. It wasn't a point for debate. It was a fact. So I was driving along, right? She's talking a lot. I'm listening a little. Okay, my bad. But she's telling me about the evening in real time. And I was there for most of it, so I don't need to be hearing this. A lot of the stories involve me. Right, so we're driving along, she tells me the story, and she got to the point, she said, this mutual friend of ours, this girl that we both know, she said, that girl said my dress was short. I went, yeah, it is. You're taking her side? Why don't you go back to the party? Why don't you drive her home? It was short. I mean, it was a really short, it was what I would call a greyhound. You call it a greyhound? It was just an inch away from the hair. It was a really short skirt, so like, I went, it is short, yeah. She went, oh, you're taking her side? When you go back to the party and drive her home then, if you fancy her so much? Try not to mind me, you saying I've got fat legs? Suddenly fucking Chewbacca's in the car. You never fucking fancy me anymore, you know what the fuck, there's just snot and... Next thing I know, like within 20 seconds, she's pulling on the car door. We're doing 40 miles an hour, middle of nowhere, 2:30 in the morning. She's going, I'll walk home, trying to open the car door. She's not wearing a seatbelt because she's pissed. Opening the car door, safer. Opening the car door, I had to stop the car. Because it's dangerous, right? So as soon as I stop the car, she fucks off out, immediately. Teetering on heels up the road. No coat, no money, no keys, no idea where she's fucking going. I'll walk home, you don't even fucking care, I'll fucking walk home. So I have to do the dutiful boyfriend thing of driving along at 4 fucking miles an hour. Come on, get back in the car. It's all my fault. It's not my fault, I've done fuck all here. Come on, get back in the car, I'll buy you chips. Please, just get back in the car. Anyway, long story short, I got arrested for curb crawling.
A lot of people say that men with big flashy cars have got tiny cocks. Am I the only one that reckons that women with spasticity and people carriers? Well, clearly not. There was a worrying moment there where I thought I was going to have to say bucket fanny. Thankfully, that's been avoided.
Remember, dogs die in hot cars, or a heavy blow to the back of the head will work just as well. Really? That's the one that got you? Okay.
I spend a lot of my life driving around the country doing gigs, and I'm often driving back late at night. I don't know how you feel about it, but I always pick up hitchhikers. If I see a hitchhiker, I will pick them up. They always say the same thing to me. They always say, but I don't live in the woods.
You know why so many American kids die in high school massacres? It's because they're not allowed to run in the corridors. Take your time with that, that's wrong on a number of levels. It's very I don't know if you've noticed this, Birmingham. It's very difficult to get the first kiss right. You want to be firm, but gentle. You want to be manly, but you don't want to wake her up. Sometimes you can sense a friend wants to take things further. Will it ruin the friendship? Things get hot and heavy on the sofa one night, you think, this doesn't feel right. You're my best friend. You're not even allowed on the couch. Bad dog, town boy.
At what point, and really I'm asking the men, at what point do you get paranoid about receiving enlarge your penis emails? It's not just me getting them, is it? It's just I'm currently getting about 10 a day. 8 of them are from my girlfriend. The 2 from my mum that really hurt. It's a rather pitying look you're giving me there, madam. I don't need your pity, frankly. I'm not particularly well hung, but I don't mind admitting that. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed, because I know that any woman that thinks being well hung is important is just shallow. Maybe that's not quite the right term to use. I broke up with a girl once because she lied about her weight. I say that, she died in a bungee jumping accident. You see, because she was heavier and... Has anyone got anything he could be colouring in?
I fucked a girl with one leg. Should have used my cock.
Well, I'll tell you why I've asked you all to come this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to talk to you about men that like obese women. I'm not talking about men that like women with a fuller figure. That seems entirely normal, natural and right. More cushion for the pushin', as I believe people say. I think that's the expression. No, I'm talking about men that like women who can't leave the house fat. So, I'm not talking about anyone in here this evening. Unless, in order to get out, someone had to cut the side of the house off and there was some sort of winch involved. I'm not talking about people with water retention. I'm talking about people with cake retention. People that tell you they've got a thyroid problem. You say, oh, really, a thyroid problem? What are you taking for that? Pies? You know, the kind of girl that looks as if she makes a cracking breakfast, but wouldn't want to share it with you. I saw a thing on TV the other day, actually. It was on one of these kind of makeover shows that were on during the day. They did a makeover on a girl. She was 34 stone. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I say a makeover, they gave her a fringe. Is that really going to turn the corner for a girl like that? That's what I'm asking. I don't think it will. I can't imagine a scenario where a guy, you know, he's drinking in a bar, he looks across, he sees a girl, she's 34 stone. Be tough to miss her, let's face it. He thinks to himself, she's a little bit big for me. Goes back to his drink. Meanwhile, the makeover team are in. Snip, snip, snip. He looks back, he thinks, actually, I would. It's the excuses that get me. The excuses are amazing. The camera adds £10. Stop eating fucking cameras. 99% of women kiss with their eyes closed, which is why it's so difficult to identify a rapist. Does anyone know? Do you know what you're meant to do if you're stung by a jellyfish? Wee on it. Yeah, piss on it, wee on it. It's exactly the right answer. I didn't know that. I got told. Everyone told me. I went on holiday. Everyone told me if you get stung by a jellyfish, you're meant to pee on it. Yeah? I'll tell you this much. It doesn't work as well on shark bites. The boys' family were livid. Apparently, once they've been dead for a couple of hours, there is very little you can do. No amount of piss is bringing them back. It is true, urine can be used to disinfect a wound. It's often taken the wrong way. It's why I no longer work with the St. John's ambulance. Come here, love, that looks nasty. It's apparently not what anyone wants to see. Sting, the popular singer, Sting's often bragging about his 8-hour-a-night sex sessions with his wife, Trudy. Imagine how long he'd be able to keep it up if she was a looker. In Japan, they believe that tiger penis improves fertility. But I think, if you really want to get pregnant, you're best off using a man's cock. My best mate's girlfriend is 6 months pregnant. They said, "Do you want to feel the baby?" On reflection, I think they meant on the outside. They say travel broadens the mind, except with Americans, which tends to widen the arse. A lot of people quote the fact that only 10% of Americans have passports. The thing is, they say it like it's a bad thing. Don't get the wrong idea, I've got nothing against Americans. Just one came up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago and said he thought I was patronising. I said, well, I think you'll find that's pronounced patronising. It means when you talk down to someone. Don't worry, I'm not being condescending. I'm far too busy thinking about important things you wouldn't understand. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Did you know you're 10 times more likely to get mugged in London than you are in New York City? It's because you don't live in New York City. I told my best friend I fucked his wife and got her pregnant. That cured his hiccups. There are a lot of obese children in Britain today, but focus on the positive. The pensions crisis is over. Come on, those tubby little fucks are going to see 40. Never mind 65. There's quite a lot of young people in. If you're young and your parents are getting divorced, it can be a very difficult time. But remember, it's not your fault. Your mum's a slag. It's pretty bad being told you're adopted, but not as bad as being told you're going to be adopted.
I've been described as the hardest working man in comedy. Not that impressive, is it? The hardest working man in comedy. That's like being the best looking guy in the Burns unit. No offence to any Burns victims we got in. Are there any in? If there's one, there'll be fucking loads. They tend to stick together. And we're off. Someone came up to me outside and went, "I thought you'd be younger." I said I was. I'm 40 years of age, but girls still check me out. I wouldn't mind, but they're so bloody obvious about it, pointing and whispering. Stranger danger. Every night after the show, I have attractive women banging on my dressing room door, and sometimes I let them out.
I keep on getting mistaken for Alan Carr. So what I've done is I've stopped sucking men off. That was my hand symbol for no more cock. I don't quite know what that round of applause was for. Was that you thinking that's a very funny joke, or homosexuality is just about willpower? People often ask me, what were you like at school? So I tell them, I was a little black girl. There's about half of you laughing, half of you thinking, was he? You would never know. Wetting your bed is embarrassing as a child, but as an adult, wetting a child's bed is mortifying. It's almost impossible to explain that shit away. I was in the south of France. I saw a brownie on a school trip. She was holding up a book. It said on the front, rough guide. I thought, yeah, she's not a looker. That's the easiest joke in the show. If you don't get that, you might as well fuck off now, mate. 3% of Britons never leave a tip, and they're known as the weirdos that live at the tip.
A lot of people like to smoke cigarettes after sex, but you can't buy cigarettes until you're 16, so I have to get them for both of us. I've got a friend that got into an argument with a barmaid from Sunderland. Long story short, he ended up calling her a fat, ugly, Geordie cunt. And she said, I'm no a Geordie. I'm no a Geordie. Sorry, that's a terrible accent. But it is how they talk.
I did a gig for the Aisling Foundation. Does anyone know the Aisling Foundation? No. Well, they're quite a small charity based in London. They're an Irish charity, and what they do is they take Irish builders and navvies that came over in the 1950s and 60s, and these are older guys, they've fallen on hard times. They give them pensions and retirement homes on the west coast of Ireland. And I did a gig for them. I thought it was a great charity. I went out there, I said, it's lovely to be here supporting the Aisling Foundation. I've got a new slogan for you. Fuck off home, the roads are finished. Apparently they're famous for their sense of humour. Oh no, they're fucking not. The other charity that I did a gig for last year was Stonewall. You know Stonewall, the largest gay charity in Europe? I did a gig for them up in Edinburgh. I went on, I said, it's lovely to be here in Edinburgh. I'm not sure about supporting Stonewall. Sure, maybe if we raise enough money, maybe one day we'll be able to find a cure. But I'm not sure there's anything wrong with being gay. That was pretty much their reaction. Although they were slightly more theatrical. I don't want to sound callous or unkind or cruel, but the Children of Courage Awards. How much courage does it take to get poorly? All I'm saying is, maybe we could just change the name to the Children of Horrible Misfortune. That way we could include ugly children as well. If anyone's sitting there thinking, I really didn't like that joke, I don't like the subject matter, I didn't think it was very funny. Imagine how it went down at the Great Ormond Street Gala.
My friend reckons football violence and aggressive behaviour are triggered by primitive tribal rivalries, which are projected onto opposing teams and then expressed through exaggerated displays of loyalty. But he's a lying gooner twat, so he can suck my fucking cock.
A chicken that has had its head chopped off can run the entire length of a football pitch before it dies. That's what I call an opening ceremony. I used to have table football in the house. We had foosball in the front room of the house. It was brilliant. Then she moved in. She hated it. She said it was too blokey. So what I did was I filled the table football up with water, and now we play synchronised swimming. If you were to count up every hot dog sold outside football grounds in Britain on any given Saturday, chances are you're autistic. I saw a headline in the Evening Standard. It said, football rapist quiz. I thought, was that story or a competition? It's only a joke. Jokes are fine. Proper homophobia isn't fine. I don't like it when the tabloids are homophobic, because they're such an important part of our culture, the tabloids. When they get it wrong, it sends a very bad message. Do you remember last year when they outed a footballer? Which is a terrible thing to do anyway. They outed this footballer, and in the course of the article where they outed this guy as a homosexual, they described consensual oral sex between two adults, yeah? Two fellas sucking each other off. They describe that as a prank. How demeaning to homosexuals is that? To have that act of lovemaking described as a prank. And it also doesn't work from the other point of view, because I like to think of myself as something of a prankster. But I don't think I've ever said, gotcha! I like it when ladies get tattoos. Have any ladies in here got tattoos?
Yeah.
What have you got?
A vent.
A what?
A vent.
You've got a vent. I think that may be the crudest term I've ever heard for a vagina. I've got a vent. Well, if you're particularly gassy, I suppose. Whereabouts is this vent?
On my arm.
On your arm, you've got a vent. You have, by all accounts, got some sort of vent. Fucking go, girl. Nothing says feminine like air conditioning equipment. Nothing says I'm hot like I need a fucking vent. That's how hot I fucking am. Has anyone got one on the small of their back?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Football symbol.
A football symbol.
Yeah. Would you like to see it?
What, sorry?
So would you like to see it?
Yes, I would. Let's have a look. A football symbol. What is it?
Gaelic football.
It's Gaelic football.
Yeah. Irish football.
Right, no, I know what Gaelic football is. How come you've got that there? Did you do the whole team and you got a bonus? I don't know. It's always struck me, it's a lovely place to get a tattoo because it's discreet. When you ask a lot of ladies why they get a tattoo, they say, I got one there because it's just for me and my partner. Or partners. But my question is, if he's looking at that, he's already having a good time. The last thing he needs is more visual stimulus. What you've basically got on your lower back is a target.
Just 22% of Liverpool fans reside in Liverpool. The rest are on remand in other cities. Wayne Rooney. He's not as clever as he looks.
It's like those big matrix signs you get above the motorway. Do you know the ones, the big matrix signs that say, this sign is not in use? And you find yourself thinking, well, hang on, if that's true, how do I know that? Of course, I'm guilty of a fair amount of fuckwittery myself. I'm often putting my foot in it, getting it wrong. I was at the airport about 6 months ago, got talking to this guy that plays wheelchair rugby in the Paralympics. I'd just seen a documentary about it called Murderball, which is amazing, and I'd seen a bit of it on Sky Sports, so I knew something about it. We got chatting. Transpired in the conversation, I didn't know what the para in Paralympics stood for. Oh, I thought I knew, but I didn't. I imagine a few of you are in the same situation. All have a think about what the para in Paralympics stands for. Stands for is not the right term to use there, actually. Have you all got something in your heads? Paraplegic, that was my first guess. It's not until you say Paraplegic Olympics out loud you realise it's not that, is it? Paraplegic Olympics, hang on, that would just be below football. Any other thoughts? Paratroopers. Well, like they were all injured during service and they thought we might as well have a sports day. Come on. So, any other thoughts?
Paralytic.
Paralytic? Yeah, that's it. There's nothing the matter with them. They're just pissed. They've turned up to the sports day and gone, what? 1,500 metres? You're having a fucking laugh. I had a skinful last night. I'll never make it. I'll have a sit down. You can wheel me round. No. Although there is a legless gag in there somewhere, but we'll leave it. Any other thoughts?
Paralysed.
Paralysed? No, it's not paralysed either. Parallel is the right answer. Well done, you gold star. Big tick. Another couple of... Of course it's the Parallel Olympics when I say it. It's obvious, isn't it? Because it's parallel to the normal Olympics. Probably shouldn't say normal Olympics. It's a minefield, this. Which, ironically, is probably how some of them got there. Evening, any gag hags, any chuckle fuckers? The only reason I ask is if any girls come up to me after the show looking for sex, I'm going to have to disappoint you. I mean, we can have sex. Just it will be quite disappointing. I wouldn't lie to you, it'd be like throwing a sausage up an alleyway. More information than some of you wanted, okay. I do talk about sex a lot in my show. I talk about sex all the time on stage. And a friend called me on it recently. Came to see the gig, and he went, "You talk about sex all the time. Are you obsessed?" I said, "Well, I'm not obsessed. But sex is the great universal topic for comedy. It's still quite taboo to talk about it openly in public. Everyone's interested, everyone cranes forward, and there's a lot of tension around sex. And where you find that kind of tension, that's also a great place to find laughter. So sex is a great topic for comedy. But it's difficult to stand in front of you good people and talk about sex without sounding crude. So to try and mitigate that, to try and alleviate that, this evening, if I refer to a vagina at any point, I'll be calling it a twinkle cave." As in, so there I was, licking out a twinkle cave, while she deep-throated my tummy banana. I've actually got a bit of a soft spot for teachers. I used to go out with a teacher and she was lovely. But if ever I wanted sex, she always insisted to put my hand up first. That is ruder than it first appears. All that groaning and grunting in women's tennis, it reminds me of sex, in that I'm watching it happen on screen whilst masturbating. There was a girl in the other day for her 21st birthday from her nana. Now, nanas are mental anyway, but her nana bought her, gift-wrapped, beautifully gift-wrapped, an Argos catalogue. With £2 coins sellotaped to the front. What, the worst one that I think a lot of people do, Secret Santa. Do you do Secret Santa at your work? It's a nightmare, isn't it, to get something good for under a fiver, under a tenner. I went out and bought a brawn moustache trimmer. She was livid. No pleasing some people, not like she didn't need it. The best gift is obviously anal sex. Not for a Secret Santa thing, that's a fucking disaster. But no, it is. It's better to give than to receive, and anal sex is the gift that keeps on giving, unless it stops giving, in which case it tears. A lot of people like to smoke cigarettes after sex, but you can't buy cigarettes until you're 16, so I have to get them for both of us. You think it's wrong I'm buying a 15-year-old girl cigarettes? You think it's wrong I'm fucking her? I'm kidding. Kidding does sound like a verb for child abuse, doesn't it? I'm kidding. Are you joking or touching kids? Here's an interesting thing. This is weird. You can have sex in this country when you're 16, but you can't buy pornography until you're 18. That's an odd law, isn't it? So you can have sex when you're 16, but you're not allowed to watch other people have sex for another 2 years. So if you're 16, you can have sex, just don't look down. Well, let's talk about love and romance and sex. Let's talk about sex. Glasgow. There's a very commonly held belief that men think about sex every 7 seconds, which I think makes talking to your dad creepy. British men spend on average 22 minutes on foreplay. Of course, that is spread out between all of us over the course of a year. Women who read romance novels have twice as much sex as the national average. While I say sex, what I mean is they yield the precious softness of their silken female innocence to the crushing firmness of his intent. Sorry, I came over all Catherine Cookson there. It's not a great phrase to use. That'd be like painting the fourth bridge. The average person has 2 pounds of meat lodged in their colon. So come on, love. Having sex with someone at work is all right, as long as you don't work in a primary school. I've got a friend who's a part-time teacher. Well, they're all part-time. My girlfriend said to me during sex, she said, "Did you remember to lock the front door?" I said, "Yeah, there's no way you're going to escape." I'd like to talk about a sex act that I don't fully understand. Are you all familiar with the 69, yes? No, I like the 69 as much as the next man. Hoping he isn't man, that'd be terrible. I like the 69, but I don't really understand it because it's an incredibly intimate thing to do with another human being. But how does the 69 ever occur? It only ever happens when the man says to the woman, "Would you do that thing that I like?" And the woman goes, "Yeah, all right, but only if you do that thing that I like." And the man goes, "Not a problem, away you go."
And the woman says, no, because the last time I did the thing that you liked, you were a little bit sleepy afterwards. You fucked off to sleep. You said, we'll call it a 68. It's like a 69, but I owe you one. I like everything about the 69 apart from the view. It's very difficult to get dirty talk right. Have you noticed this? It's very difficult to get dirty talk right. Like in a long-term relationship, it's fine because you know where your boundaries are, you know your partner. But on a one-night stand, fraught with danger. I've got a story concerning a friend of mine. He's quite good at pulling. We were all at a party together, and he pulled a girl that none of us knew. Ended up back at her place that night having sex. Well done him, high five. So he told us the story the next day. He said she started it. They were having sex. She said, talk dirty to me. Or more accurately, talk dirty to me. So from the Rolodex of filth in his head, he came forth with this. And this would be fine for many of the ladies here. Within the confines of the bedroom, within the boudoir, this would be an okay thing to say. With a long-term, loving, trusting partner. On a one-night stand, maybe not. He said, you love it, you slut. She said, I'm not a slut. And there was a very awkward moment. Awkward as moments can be when you've just insulted someone you're balls deep in. He apologized profusely, needless to say, and they moved on. I imagine there's a story there, madam.
Being working class is very much like masturbation. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, it's nothing to be proud of either. And both give you calluses on your hands. Sting, the popular singer, Sting's often bragging about his 8-hour-a-night sex sessions with his wife, Trudy. Imagine how long he'd be able to keep it up if she was a looker. Now, I don't know if anyone's seen any of the other TV shows that I made. I make a show called Distraction at the moment. Has anyone seen that? Oh, just about everyone. And one person liked it. Well, that's good. If I can entertain just one man, I'll have been shit. The Distractions is quite good. It's Channel 4's replacement to Sex in the City. Just imagine the city is Dundee and the sex is anal. You get the idea. Are you all aware of what snowballing is, the sexual practice snowballing? Yeah. One bloke down. Who was that down there? Quite proud of that. Well done. Everyone else, none the while. OK, well, I'll explain. It says something about you. Snowballing is a sexual practice where, having administered oral sex, your partner doesn't spit or swallow so much as return to sender via a kiss. Oh, you're looking shocked and appalled as I explain that to you. Let me assure you, I found out the hard way. A new book's come out called Better Than Sex with Claire Rayner. A lot of things in that fucking category. I'm struggling to think of anything that wouldn't make them up. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? Have a guess. What guess? Sheep shagging? Well, that's rather insulting, isn't it? And to add insult to injury, you're wrong. It's not sheep shagging. It's actually ram raiding. The second most common crime is having sex with a minor. If anyone's offended, just look for the other meaning. You'll be fine. A lot of people say modern art is pretentious, but I look at it like this. Boxers don't have sex before a fight. Do you know what that is? They don't fancy each other. I woke up with an erection this morning. On reflection, I wish it had been my own. Saw a headline in the paper. It said, homeless shelter burns down. I thought, well, what are they now? Homelesser? No, they were trapped inside. They're all dead. If you know the difference between a kayak and a canoe, you probably don't know what it's like to have sex. I read a thing. It said that 98% of men are happy to have sex on a first date. I thought, well, happy? We're high-fiving strangers on a night bus. Hey! Oh, oh. Good. Of course, a lot of women don't want to have sex on a first date, even if they want to have sex on a first date, because they think if they have sex on a first date, it makes them a slag or a slut or something. Well, not anymore, ladies. You're going to have to do more than that to be a slag these days. Am I right, Tracy? I'm just saying that like, having sex on a first date just means you wanted to have sex on a first date. That's all it means. To be a slag these days, you're going to have to do so much more. I've got friends that are slags. My friend Louise is a slag. She's got 5 kids. By 7 different dads. Someone shouted out the other night, "Gay shirt!" I thought, oh no. My shirt's been fucking men in the bum. I thought that was a chocolate stain. I tried to suck it out. Buying presents for women, that's a nightmare, isn't it? I thought, I can't do flowers again, I can't do chocolates again, I'll go for lingerie. Mum was livid. I have terrible period pains every 6 weeks. I suffer appalling mood swings, and for the first couple of days I can hardly move with the pain. What do you recommend? They said, hot water bottle, bed rest and chocolate. I've gone for the rather more old school. Have you considered building a shed in your garden where you can hide your shame? Let's talk about gifts, because gifts are very important when you're in a relationship. They show your partner how you feel about them. This is interesting. My girlfriend suggested last Christmas that we limit ourselves to £20 for each other's presents. But I wasn't thinking about spending that kind of money. Obviously, if you're buying gifts for a woman, it's pretty easy. Just go for the classics. You know, champagne, chocolates, flowers. Unless you're dating an alcoholic bulimic with hay fever. Apparently, women like chocolate because it stimulates them in the same way as sex, which I think goes some way towards explaining the popularity of the chunky Kit Kat. I've never found chocolate to be an aphrodisiac. The only way a chocolate bar is going to help my sexual performance is if I use it as a splint. Or bait. This is the problem with doing charity gigs for other people. What you want to do is have your own foundation, your own kind of, you know, your own charity. That's the brilliant thing that kind of big A-list celebrities get to do. They get to have their own charity. I'd love to do that. Look at Michael Jackson. He's got his own charity, the Neverland Foundation. They fly sick children. What, good-looking sick children? They fly good-looking sick children who look as if they could keep a secret into the Neverland Ranch, and they give them massive cash payouts. Valuable work. Who here, while we're on the topic, who here thinks Michael Jackson's innocent? There's no, there quite a lot of people here. Who? Go on, show of hands. Hands right up in the air. Quite a lot of you think Michael Jackson's innocent. And do you know what? You've got morality on your side because he was found innocent by a jury of his peers, albeit Americans. Still counts. I wouldn't have bothered with the whole trial. I just would have stood up in front of the jury and simply said this. If I was a billionaire paedophile, and I'm not, but if I was a billionaire paedophile, I definitely have a fun fair in my back garden. He couldn't be any more dodgy if his house was made out of sweets. Sugary tea was my mum's cure for everything. Her, like, elixir of life. If you had any kind of problem, emotional, physical, financial, it wouldn't matter. She would say, come in, I'll make you a nice sweet cup of tea. Which was fine until we found out my brother was diabetic. Being diabetic's a pain in the ass because it's sort of a mid-range illness, isn't it? It's not a cold, it's a bit more serious than that, but it's unlikely to kill you and it won't get you into the Paralympics. Mid-range. You've got to really search for the positives with the mid-range things. Of course, the positive thing about being diabetic is, of course, you can kill yourself with sweets. I'm going to end it all past the sherbet dib dabs. I was in the cinema last week with a friend. He turned to me. He said, I'm just going to the gents. Do you want anything? I said, yeah, bring us back some piss. Thanks very much. Maybe one of those little minty things from your urinal. You know, they're called urinal cakes. There's a disappointing birthday. Did you get me a cake? Is not your favourite. I've got a friend, she recently went to her GP just for the annual checkup. She was classified by her own GP as being morbidly obese. Who came up with that term? That's so unnecessarily harsh. Morbidly obese. As if she doesn't have enough on her plate. Sounded sympathetic, and then it turns out it was another joke about a big fat fatty. Of course, it goes the other way too. I've got another friend that just lost 6 stone. Well, I say she lost 6 stone, she lost a leg to diabetes. Still, go girl. Slowly and carefully. Of course, there is no need to go on a diet. If anyone's thinking of going on a diet, there's no need. All you've got to do, here's the secret, have a photo of yourself taken holding up a pair of enormous trousers. Doesn't matter how big you are, everyone thinks you made a tremendous effort. Job done. There's always a shot from the side as well. Always with a really smug expression of, look what a fat cunt I was. Of course, there are some clues out there as to why we're getting bigger as a nation. Domino's Pizza is a very good clue. It's a very simple business, supply and demand. Very simple. If we demand something, they will supply it. They're happy to. They now make a double-decker pizza. How did that happen? People must have been phoning up going, hello, is that Domino's? Yes, how can I help you?
I like a pizza.
We get a lot of that. What would you like as a topping?
I'll have another pizza.
Of the 5 fruit and veg you're meant to eat every day, I think you know you're fat if you count Jaffa cakes.
My father always used to say to me, there's no such word as can't. I said, no, I called you a cunt. People claim to be into recycling, but you should see their faces when you rinse out a condom. I do a bit of baking. Does anyone else bake cookies and cakes and things? I do a bit of baking. My specialty is a brownie with nuts, which I call a scout. When I broke up with my first wife, I didn't want anything from her in the settlement, except a pint of milk, 4 egg yolks, a vanilla pod, an ounce of caster sugar, and 2 fluid ounces of single cream. She mixed the whole up in a bowl, and she threw it in my face. But on the plus side, I did get custody.
I'll do. Good. They say revenge is best served cold, and they say revenge is sweet. So really what they're saying is, revenge is ice cream. I think it goes without saying. I'm glad you agree. I was tempted just to go for 40 minutes. That would have been terrifically funny, or shit. Maybe shit. I've had an idea for a children's book. I was going to run it past you. It's an idea for a children's book. It's about a boy that can see into the future after he gets raped by a unicorn. It's sort of bittersweet. We don't have an ensuite bathroom, but we do have plastic sheets. If anything, it's more convenient. I was in the cinema and something struck me. I think it was a peanut M&M.
Anal sex is overrated. It's fucking shit. And it hurts like buggery. I tried it with my girlfriend. She was bored to tears. Is everyone that's going to get it got it? Let's move along. We've been together now for 12 years, me and my girlfriend, so to keep things fresh in the bedroom, we do a little bit of role play. She pretends to be a nurse, and I pretend I'm still attracted to her. My girlfriend wants a diamond ring, and the only reason I know that is it's pretty much all she fucking talks about. Let's face facts. The only way my girlfriend's getting a diamond ring is if the vajazzler slips. We went out for a drink the other night, me and my girlfriend, and we were chatting about what people actually think about when they're having sex. Not a conversation I would recommend. She said to me, what kind of a man fantasizes about his partner's friends whilst he's actually having sex with his partner? And I said, promise you won't get mad. I'm telling these rather bawdy jokes, but I'm actually quite a sensitive kind of guy, quite metrosexual. I remember the first time I got together with my girlfriend 12 years ago now, first time we had sex, first time we hooked up, I cried. I don't know whether it was the physical act or the emotion of it or the pepper spray, but I teared up.
Let's talk about gifts, because gifts are very important when you're in a relationship. They show your partner how you feel about them. This is interesting. My girlfriend suggested last Christmas that we limit ourselves to £20 for each other's presents. But I wasn't thinking about spending that kind of money. Obviously, if you're buying gifts for a woman, it's pretty easy. Just go for the classics. You know, champagne, chocolates, flowers. Unless you're dating an alcoholic bulimic with hay fever. I buy my girlfriend flowers every week, because I really fancy the girl in the florist. I've told the girl in the florist my girlfriend's dead. I thought it was a good idea at the time. It slightly backfired. You try explaining to your other half why you got her a wreath 4 weeks in a row. Obviously, different flowers express different emotions. So, for example, red flowers say passion, yellow flowers say love, and self-raising flower says, make me a cake. My girlfriend said recently, she said, we need some romance in our lives. So I took the hint, I booked a hotel, flowers, chocolate, champagne, petals on the bed, the full bit, ended up having incredible sex. Of course, it turned out she wanted me to take her. What's the fucking point of that? I live with her. She'll be there when I get back. Put the kettle on, love, and fucking knackered.
My girlfriend bought a T-shirt for £80. That's a ridiculous amount to spend on a T-shirt, am I right? It said D&G on the front. I suppose fair enough. One of her tits is bigger than the other. I thought my girlfriend was a slag when she told me I was her 32nd lover, and then I realised she was talking about time. There is a minimum comprehension level you may be asked to leave. I'm sorry. I think the men in the room will be able to relate to this. My girlfriend always wants to stay in and watch Downton Abbey, but I want to go out and get a new girlfriend. I thought it'd be okay for me to have sex with other women because my girlfriend and I were on a break. But apparently, I ruined that weekend at Centre Parks. I had a thing happen to me recently, a little bit embarrassing. I got caught. I didn't think this could happen when you're a grown-up. I got caught masturbating by my girlfriend. What do you say? Sorry I woke you. You've got sleep in your eye.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr, and I don't want to impose on your day. I know you just watched a clip of me. You probably had enough of me already. But if you could like and subscribe, that would help me in some way, which I don't fully understand. I think basically if you like and subscribe, then down the line, I have a more comfortable retirement. I don't know.